Most people think life is a battle, but life is not a battle. Life is a game. And if you're someone watching this video right now, you may be realizing you're taking life way too seriously. And because of that, you're blocking this magical, universal force from entering your life, this force that's responsible for creating abundance, serendipitous moments, and spontaneous opportunities that show up before you. Today we're talking about the wisdom of a woman who even came before the wisdom of Neville Goddard, who used these techniques very successfully in her life. She goes by the name of Florence Scoville Shinn, and she wrote the book, The Game of Life and How to Win It. And this, combined with the wisdom of Neville Goddard, we will explore a framework, a few different aspects of your reality that you can begin working on today to make this shift. And by the end of the video, I'll even give you 3 actionable steps that you can begin implementing today, right now. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Both Florence and Neville talk about a way of bringing things into our reality. Everything you see from this camera, well, you don't see this camera, but the camera that's filming me, this pen, this book that I have here, this whatever you have around you, take note, came together as a force through this process. And it's based on the principle of care, which is a 4,000-year-old ancient principle called the generative principle that's responsible for creating literally everything around you. And you can use this principle today to begin realizing that you're the creator of your reality and fully embodying that, because you have the ability to create as you were created. We've been disillusioned from this through this, what I call the control system, which is all the institutions and everything around you, these systems of a 9-to-5 job that are designed to control us. There's a whole nother avenue of possibilities outside of that available for you. Both metaphysicians, Neville and Scoville, talk about this method that's based on a 4,000-year-old ancient technique called the generative principle. It states that whatever you care about, when your thoughts, feelings, actions, and words are all aligned perfectly towards the thing that you're working towards, it seems easy. You become in a state of what they call congruence flow. Think about something in your life right now or in the past that has felt just so easy and simple despite others around you telling you how difficult it is. But you knew, because you had this passion, this drive within you, that it became very easy to do, right? This is a state of congruence flow that you were in unknowingly. But when we consciously understand that whatever we desire must be in alignment with our thoughts, the way we feel, that's a heart-centered feeling, our emotions, well, our emotions and feelings are the same, our actions, what we're actually doing, and our words, what we're actually saying, because the way you speak about yourself will either attract closely to you what you desire or will unconsciously push it away. It's like people who desire more wealth, that desire more abundance, yet are joking around with people who keep bringing up how little they have or how expensive everything is. These are incongruent, and it will make things much harder for you to move towards the things that you actually desire. Now, Florence had her own way of speaking about things so eloquently through her own storytelling. And one of the things she talks about is this law of supply and demand, who she would bring up with many of her clients. And the law of supply and demand, you probably understand economics, right? Supply and demand. But the energetic universal law of supply and demand works a little bit differently. And it does not care whether you actually know about it or not, it will continue to work, as all universal laws do. And so the universal law of supply and demand is basically this idea that we have it mixed up backwards. We must think that should be a demand for something before we can actually supply it. In fact, it's the reverse. And I think many businesses today are figuring this out, especially being on social media, offering services online, offering little low barrier, what we call low barrier offers, little things people can pick up here and there to begin building trust, to begin building a relationship. And it goes something like this. You must offer something for free, free value. You must put the value out there to create a supply. You're creating a supply of value before the demand can be met. The demand will naturally be attracted to somebody who's creating a supply. And I'll give you a great example from my own life. When I was an early paramedic, starting my career, I wanted to make as much money as possible. But the income that I made was based on a pager. So every time someone would call the ambulance service and request for help, the pager would go off, you get paid for a certain amount of hours. And this was a work by pager sort of system. And so the idea here was to get as many requests for help as possible so I can make money. It was the end result. I was thinking with the end in mind, which I thought was the right idea. But I was coming from the wrong place. You see, you first have to create the supply by giving massive value. And by focusing on the money, I was actually retracting from the value that I could provide. And it wasn't until I was actually able to step into greater purpose, greater power, being able to service patients fully, to be able to help people to the highest degree when they asked for it, that I was able to, magically almost, attract more calls and more of the abundance that I desired. And the same could be applied for your business. You have a business or you have a place of work where you wish to make more income, but rather than focusing on what you're doing now, you focus on trying to attract more clients through marketing campaigns, through elaborate gestures and lectures, only to find that it doesn't work out for you. And that's because you're focusing on the demand, not the supply. When you focus on the supply end, which you control, stepping into higher value, creating more value for your clients, creating more value for your customers, the ones that currently exist today, in that way, you'll create this vibration that attracts more clients, more people, more interest, so on and so forth. The third one here is the pearl of great price. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. The pearl of great price represents your human imagination. All the inspired ideas, all the things that come to you that we often ignore are some of the most valuable pieces of information that come from beyond time and space, oftentimes sound like us but are not us. And in order for us to actually act upon these things and to bring them into existence, to bring them into being, we must let go of 3 things that I'm going to tell you right now. The first one is externalizing your power. Reading tarot cards to determine your future. Reading astrology so closely that you get lost in the details of it. Looking outwards to people, waiting for people to tell you to do something. Waiting for somebody to come into your life and say you should start that business. You should start that YouTube channel. You should go apply for that job. Instead of just actually doing it and owning your power and realizing that you have the power to create as you were created. Number 2 is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are almost like false gods that rule over our lives. Using tools of fear, using tools of inferiority, using these mechanisms to self-sabotage ourselves, honestly, from the things that we actually deserve. So by identifying the limiting beliefs, the things holding you back, next time, think about the times you get triggered, the things you see in other people that trigger you the most, because your reality is just a mirror, and see if there's an underlying belief that is incongruent. Remember, we talk about congruence flow, incongruent with the things you now desire, because everything around you that you see is a representation of past beliefs, seeds you had planted long ago. Number 3 is getting lost in the fixed reality of your circumstances. Reality is simply not fixed. There are many versions of you that exist out there. There's a principle in physics called superposition that explains this, how particles can be in more than one place at one time. You are made up of particles. Therefore, there are many versions of you that exist out there all simultaneously. And for you, the mission is to tune to that vibration of that which you desire. Now, many of us get lost in this fixed version of reality and block ourselves from being able to have faith in our imagination. You must have complete unwavering faith, is something that they both talk about. You must have complete unwavering faith in the vision that you have in your mind and begin taking action towards it. Begin aligning your words with what you're doing. Begin aligning your thoughts with your feelings and taking action in that direction. Begin identifying false gods that may be holding you back from reaching your true potential. With that being said, I'll be coming out shortly with a one-on-one workshop called the Shift Workshop. It's something you'll be able to apply for, and there'll be a link down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Until next time, peace.